Hello, my name is Madeline, and welcome to this Yin Yoga class for releasing stuck emotions. So, we tend to store a lot of emotions in the hips and the shoulders, and this class is really going to help get into those areas. You might feel a lot of emotions coming up, and that's totally natural. And we'll be holding poses a bit more on the longer side, maybe closer to 3 minutes or so, just so that we can really get in there and go inward. Let's get started with a little bit of breath to ground into the space. We'll take 3 deep breaths. So you can exhale all the air out now. Take an inhale through the nose. Big sigh out the mouth. Take another inhale through the nose. And let it all go out the mouth. One more really deep inhale. And release everything out the mouth. And we'll do a tiny bit of movement before getting into our yin poses. And we'll do some seated cat-cows. So you can bring the hands to the knees. And as you inhale, begin to arch the spine up towards the sky. And around the back as you exhale. And you can continue like this, or take any kind of fluid movement that feels good. So if you feel a lot of tension, a lot of tightness in the body, a lot of that does tend to be kind of that emotional weight, emotional baggage and stress. So really trying to kind of get into these areas, breathing into them, and just noticing where you do feel any areas of tension or tightness. And take a couple more breaths in this movement, doing whatever feels good to you. And then return back to center. And if you do have a couple of blocks, they'll be really useful for this class, but if you don't, it's totally fine. And we'll make our way into our first yin pose, which will be a butterfly pose. So you can start to bring the soles of the feet together in front of you. Try to find a place where you could be still, since we will be holding this for a longer period of time. So you might want to kind of go for a spot that is a bit further out in front of you. And if this feels like enough, that's great. You can stay here. Option to grab a couple blocks, place them underneath those knees for some more support. Or option to place a block in between the feet for the forehead to rest on. So whenever you're ready, start to fold forward towards those feet. Really trying to let the back round and soften. Let the head drop. And starting to feel some gentle opening in the hips. And remembering your deep breathing here, just notice what's coming up, if anything. Just notice how the body is feeling and how the mind is feeling. And let's take a couple more breaths in this butterfly pose. And taking one last breath. And slowly starting to come back up onto the hands. And crawling your way back up. Bring the hands to the outsides of the thighs. Then really gently start to draw those knees back together. And here you might want to take a couple windshield wipers, rocking the knees from side to side. Just releasing that back a bit more. And then returning back to center. And we're going to come to face the long ways on our mat, preparing for a dragonfly pose or a straddle pose. If you do have a blanket or a bolster, anything like that, you might want to sit up on that to create some space in the hips. And whenever you're ready, start to draw the left leg out to the side, left foot at the corner of the mat, and then doing the same with the right foot. So you're in this straddle-like shape. And upright can already feel like a lot. If you just want to stay here, go for it. If you want to go a little deeper, start to fold forward, walking those hands in between the legs. And you can always bend those knees as much as you need here. You can place some blocks underneath the knees too, if that feels good. You can also bring any props underneath the forehead if you would like to rest the forehead on those as well. And again, really try to let the body soften. Let that head drop. Really deep opening for the hips here. And maybe with each breath, just sinking and melting a little more into the pose. Again, remembering that deep breath. And let's take one more deep breath here. And slowly start to crawl those hands back in if you were folded forward. Again, bringing the hands to the outsides of the thighs and really gently sliding the feet back in. And you could go for those windshield wipers again if that feels good. And then returning back to center, and we'll make our way onto our hands and knees into a tabletop position. And from here, you can start to take some cat-cows if that feels nice. Again, taking any kind of fluid movement that feels good. So maybe some circles in the body, one direction and then the other. And take one last breath in this movement. And let's return back to tabletop. And we're going to make our way into a sleeping swan or a pigeon pose. And if you know that this doesn't feel good in your body, you can always come down onto your back in a figure 4 position. So if you're going into that sleeping swan, you can draw the right knee to the right wrist and then the right ankle to the left wrist so that right shin is parallel with the top of the mat. If you have a block or a blanket and there's any space in between that right hip and the ground, you can place it there. And take one breath upright in sleeping swan. And then start to fold forward over that right shin, maybe placing a block underneath the forehead or underneath the chest, if that feels good for you. And here's this figure 4 position. If that doesn't feel good in the body, you don't feel like doing it, you can place the right ankle on top of the left thigh and then just hold around the shin or the thigh there. So again, just choosing whatever works for you. And then letting yourself come into stillness in this pose. So just getting into the hip in a bit of a different way here. Again, just being present if anything arises, letting yourself feel. And take one more deep breath in sleeping swan or figure four. And then slowly start to press back up onto those hands. Being really gentle here. Start to slide that right leg back. You can come up into a downward dog if that feels good. Maybe pedaling out those feet just to release all of that. And then from downward dog, we'll come into sleeping swan from here. So starting to draw the left knee to the left wrist, and then that left ankle to right wrist, so that now the left shin is parallel with the top of the mat. Again, option to go for figure four if that feels better for you. And knowing that each side can feel super different. If there's space in between that left hip and the ground, you can always place a block or blanket if you have one. And taking one breath upright in sleeping swan. And then start to fold forward over that left shin. And letting yourself surrender here. Maybe with each breath, going a little deeper. And let's take a couple more breaths in sleeping swan or figure four. And on your last breath, beginning to slowly press back up. And again, being really gentle here, The left leg, left hip can feel pretty tender. And slide that back and press up into a downward dog again if that feels good. Maybe walking it out. And then whenever you feel satisfied with your movement, returning back onto your hands and knees for tabletop. Feel free to take any movement that feels good. And then return back to stillness, and we'll get into the shoulders a little bit now with a melting heart pose. So here you really want to try to keep the knees and the hips in line. If you have a blanket, maybe you can place it underneath the knees. And then start to walk the hands forward towards the top of the mat and start to draw your chest down. If you want even more of an opening, you can grip the top of the mat with your fingertips. It can feel really nice. If this feels like a bit much on the shoulders and the arms, you can always spread those arms out wider on the mat. So really nice opening for the shoulders and the upper body, where we really do store a lot of emotions, a lot of tension, a lot of stress. So try to imagine that kind of just melting off the body as you start to open a little more in this pose. And remembering to breathe deeply. This one can feel pretty intense at times. And let's take a couple more breaths here. And on your last breath, staying low to the ground, begin to slide back into your closed leg child's pose with the arms reaching back behind you and the knees slightly together. And just rest here. Maybe you want to rock the forehead side to side on the mat. We'll stay here for a few moments in this rebound pose. And take one more breath here. Slowly start to rise back up. And we'll come back towards our tabletop position to prepare for a deer pose. So I'm going to bring that right shin parallel with the top of the mat, kind of like we did in Sleeping Swan. And then the left shin is going to run down the side of the mat on the left side. So you kind of have these two triangle-like shapes. And it's a bit more of a gentle-ish version of Sleeping Swan. It's still a really nice opening and slight twist in the hips. And if you like to use a block, you can bring that in front of you for your forehead to rest on. And whenever you're ready, start to fold forward over that right shin. And maybe the forehead comes to a block or comes all the way down to the mat. And just try to relax here. Let go of any tension or stress. And just be in the pose. We'll take a couple more breaths in deer pose. And then whenever you're ready, slowly starting to come back up, pressing onto those hands. And releasing those legs, maybe bringing them in front of you, shaking them out a little bit. You can always do those windshield wipers, rocking side to side if you feel like doing that. Then we'll get right into the deer pose on the other side. So this time bringing the left shin parallel with the top of the mat, and then the right shin will come in line with the side of the mat this time. Start to twist your body forward. Then whenever you're ready, begin to fold forward over that left shin. Maybe head comes to a block or to the mat. And again, noticing the difference between the two sides. Observing whatever may come up without judgment. And relaxing into the pose. And let's take one more deep breath in deer. And slowly start to press back up onto those hands whenever you're ready. Removing any props. Releasing both the legs out in front of you. Again, maybe you want to shake them a little side to side or up and down. Maybe go for some windshield wipers. And then return back to center. And we're going to come into a supported fish. So this is where you'll want to have your blocks. If you don't have blocks, it's okay. I'll give another option. So start by placing the first block probably about mid-height. You can always change this if you like. Mid-height, about 2/3 the way up the mat. And then placing that other block at the tallest height towards the top of the mat. So this tallest block is going to be for your head. So you can come to sit in front of those blocks and then start to lean back so that that kind of your mid upper back is going to be on that first block. And then the head will be on that top block. So it might take a couple seconds of adjusting. You can always switch the height of the blocks to whatever feels best for you. Everyone's anatomy is different. And you can either have the legs out long, or you can bring them back into that butterfly shape. And then just let the arms drape out to the sides, opening up the heart here. If you don't have blocks, you can come into a reclining butterfly. So with the soles of the feet together, and the back just flat on the mat. So really elevating the heart here. Try to imagine again, letting any tension drip off the body. We can be very closed in our bodies, like shoulders rounded forward, closed inwards when there's a lot of stuck emotions. So just having the heart open like this physically can hopefully translate to more open heart emotionally and mentally. And let's take one more deep breath here. And slowly start to come out of the pose. First by coming onto those forearms, then pressing back up onto the hands. Being really gentle here, removing the blocks and placing them over to the side. And slowly start to make your way all the way down onto your back. Maybe hugging the knees into the chest and rocking a little side to side. And from here, taking any final poses or movement your body is needing to feel complete. So maybe a twist could feel really nice here, or a happy baby if you want some more of that hip opening. And whenever you're ready, no rush at all, coming to meet in Savasana, our final resting pose, the legs out long, laying flat on the mat, arms draped out to the sides for your Savasana. And if you have the time, I encourage you to stay in the Shavasana for as long as you like. If you have to get going, you can join me for one last breath, exhaling all the air out now. Taking a deep inhale through the nose, and then a big sigh out the mouth. And thank you so much for practicing with me. Just a reminder to be gentle with yourself if any emotions did arise. If not, hopefully at least you got a nice hip opening. And sometimes these emotions can kind of show themselves or present themselves after class, so just something to be mindful of as well. And if you would like to see more Yin Yoga classes like this, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again next time.